Broadcasting just for you, live from the Regis Entertainment Centre. This is Radio Bognor.
Well, good morning, Bognor. Yes, we have arrived. We're on the air. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. My name's Nick Hobson. I'll be with you right away through till 9 o'clock. And for those of you that can't get enough of me, I'll be back again at about 1 o'clock at lunchtime as well. For those of you who are wondering how I don't sleep, sleep is only for normal people. And as many of my friends will tell you, I'm definitely not normal.
I just thought it might be a good idea to explain to our listeners out there what Radio Bognor is all about and where we're situated. Radio Bognor on 101.7 FM has been set up under a 2-week temporary licence, and if we can get your support and your help, we might even continue as a full-time station. The studio is situated in the foyer of the Regis Centre, right next door to the Royal Hall. You can identify us, we're a glass cubicle with a KVEX advertising sign on the outside. Nick Hobson and myself, Michael Carney, we're the two early morning presenters. We will finish at 9 o'clock and there will be shows right the way through the day, probably up until about 11 o'clock this evening.
It all started 10 years ago when a group of enthusiasts realised that Bognor Regis was stuck in a radio-free wilderness, not properly covered by any of the so-called local radio stations in the surrounding counties. The growing tide of public and official support in early 1992 persuaded the group that this was the year to apply for a licence to broadcast. They realised, though, that they were unlikely to get a full licence straight away, so with the support of the town council and the management of the Regis Entertainment Centre, where the radio station would be based, they applied for a restricted service licence to cover a special event, namely the Bognor Regis Seaside Special Summer Festival.
And the news team will be responsible for the 6 to 9 a.m. slot with its music, and particularly the 5-minute...
While Jim Brooks was preparing the recording studio at No. 1 Argyle Road, other volunteers were busy establishing an office in one of the Regis Centre storerooms. Canvassing support from the public was another element in the effort to get the station on the air, and to that end they installed a counter where passers-by could contribute to the station's funds and sign the petition which called for the granting of a full-time licence.
Yeah, well, we do 10-second slots and 20-second slots. It depends really how much you need to say. About 25 words. It's a maximum of 25 words in 10 seconds. If you wanted...
Although some money had already been raised, most of the nearly £10,000 cost of the 2-week experiment had to be met by selling airtime to advertisers. Michelle Hibbert rose to the task like a professional. But time was running out. The broadcast studio had to be built. It was decided that the office would have to be transformed into the studio, and that meant a little bit of house moving. At last, the studio gear arrived, and the volunteers were able to get to practicing on it. But conditions were far from ideal. The front wall had to be double glazed, a ceiling had to be built, and part of the wall had to be demolished to provide ventilation.
Okay, this is Paul Rollins, bringing you the 5 till 7. Here's a song called You Drivers Going Home.
The radio authority had been told that the station would be on the air for 15 hours a day, and that only half the output would be music. That meant an enormous demand for speech programme material. The hunt was on.
Predicting to be at the Chichester Festival Theatre next month in She Stoops to Conquer is Jonathan Morris, who I'm sure needs no introduction to listeners because he was, of course, in the cast of Bread. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, nice to see you.
And you. Tell me, in She Stoops to Conquer, what part are you actually playing?
I'm playing
You're listening to Radio Bognor on 101.7 FM in stereo. Now it's time.
Well, it's nice to have you with us for the Radio Bognor, Sir Michael. Tell me, what are your feelings about local community radio?
Well, I think it's a first-class opportunity for a community like ours to have something which bridges a gap. I mean, the reality is that we are somewhat in between, between Portsmouth, Southampton, Brighton and so on. And I think inevitably the coverage we get, both on radio and television, is more restricted than I could wish. So I think there's a real opportunity.
Meanwhile, at Argyle Road, the team was busy recording the advertisements.
Bognor Regis on Saturday, the 25th of July. We have a wide range of music, video and computer software, and you can try the latest Nintendo games. In fact, cut the coupon from the new Journal and Guardian and bring it with you.
However, all was not well. With 4 days to go, Radio Bognor's frequency had still not been confirmed. The audio tape needed for the fortnight hadn't arrived, and there was still no sign of the FM transmitter.
Doing this classic FM thing is going to wipe us out when it goes full strength next week. Yes. Yes. You think they know about the Isle of Wight? I mean, they are the blooming radio authority. Yes.
2 days to go, and they had a frequency, 101.7, more tape than they knew what to do with, but still no transmitter.
1C, 1C, 1C.
It's Thursday the 9th. Switch on is due on the 11th. At last, the transmitter arrives and is installed in Argyle Road.
Broadcasting just for you, live from the Regis Entertainment Centre. This is Radio Bognor.
Meanwhile, in the Regis Centre, the mayor, blissfully unaware of the traumas just half a mile away, opens the newly equipped studio.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You could kindly give me out to fix that now, and then when it's suitable to you, we can go for it. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, in addition to the interviews you're doing. Oh, right, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, are you going to go on to the council meeting tonight? I'll go with you. It's me, guys.
Right, okay, just look up all of you.
Broadcasting just for you, live from the Regis Entertainment Centre. This is Radio Bognor.
The attack happened early on Tuesday morning. Detectives are looking for a man who's black, in his 30s and about 6 feet tall. Peace talks in London involving the leaders of Bosnia warring factions are set to enter their second day.
The office had moved to a larger room in the back of the Regis Centre building and had been transformed into a newsroom. From here, a small band of novice news hounds prepared the news items for bulletins up to twice an hour in peak periods. 17 broadcasting hours a day, and the pressure was beginning to tell. But for some, the work went on. With half the content being music, the demand for records was prodigious. Brian Mead came to the rescue with his enormous collection of singles, LPs and compact discs.
Well, I heard about the radio station from the manager of the Regis Centre, actually, from DM himself. And that's what really fired my imagination. And I had the spare time, and I just made the offer of my records to the radio station.
I bet you never believed how much time it was going to take up.
Yes, it did require a lot of sorting out, I must admit, because it was originally into the 3 different shows. So we collated it back into one big collection, and that's how it's going to stay from now on. But I hope it has been useful to the radio station, and hopefully when we set up a complete radio station in the future, I will make it available to that station as well.
But there are times when recorded music simply isn't what the producer wants. And in those cases, there's no substitute for an original, specially commissioned score. Real radio stations always have outside broadcast units, or OBs, and Radio Bognor was no exception. A small radio transmitter mounted on a van provided the link between the outside world and the studio, so that a range of events could be broadcast direct.
You've done all this before, because I recognise your face from somewhere. You run one of the cafes in Bognor, don't you, surely?
I run a cafe in Bognor, that's right.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen you before somewhere.
So, lots of bread rolls.
With a staff of volunteers, few of whom had any previous experience, it was important to keep as close an eye as possible on quality.
Think about what you're going to say between any records that you're going to play, prepare it a little bit better, make sure you know exactly what you're going to put into the programme, and when you do know, then come back and see me, we'll do it all again, and then we'll see how you get on, okay?
The radio station was now in full swing and busily developing its links with the local community. David Huxtable talked about the work of the Prince's Trust.
Well, the Prince's Trust was set up by Prince Charles to help young people to achieve their different ambitions, in short.
Patrick Moore spoke on astronomy.
And of course, the sky at night wasn't originally my idea. What happened was that Paul Johnstone, the television producer, who's now dead, very sadly, he was thinking of doing a regular programme on astronomy that hadn't been done before. Thought I might be the person to have a go. So they said, would you like to do a programme called The Sky at Night? I said, what a good idea.
And David Adams explained the workings of the DSS.
Benefit for getting the money on it. People have to generally work for 52 weeks of a year and earn at what we call the lowest earnings level, which is £54.
Of course, every radio station needs presenters, and for many of Radio Bognor's team, it was a first chance to show what they could do.
And now it's Tosh's lunchtime special.
At 7:30 p.m. Bognor Regis Operatic and the Best of the Rest, a number of other local groups, and this starts at 7:30 in the Alexandra Theatre.
The volunteers all thought they were doing a great job, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. What did the listeners think?
And we're going to ask a few people what they think of Radio Bognor.
On the whole, it's very good.
It's a local programme. We've been wanting something to put Bognor on the map again.
There's a lot of people who, ex-pupils from here, are in it.
I think it's been good. I think the chat's been good. It's been local. It's been interesting.
It's great. It's really good.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. I look at it now as a permanent fixture.
It's quite casual.
What programme do you think is best? My programme? Oh, well, we just made a friend. Fred. Put it there, man. That's splendid.
The intention had been to make the breakfast programme the station's flagship, but the best-laid plans of programme controllers gang after Gley. Robert Sears presented Between Ourselves most days from 11 o'clock. His style and the quality of his guests ensured that the programme was an instant hit.
When the winner will receive a meal for two at the Bella Pays restaurant, Bognor Regis. Right now, shall we dance?
Star guests included Kate O'Mara and Jonathan Morris, who were joined in the procession past Robert's microphone by the likes of TV producer Dickie Lehman, ice rink campaigner Dennis Hammond, and trumpeter Joan Hind. The licence was nearing its end, and already the behind-the-scenes teams were looking to the future.
We're going to keep training our people who are now getting absolutely hugely professional in what they do, and so we're keeping going, looking to our coming back before Christmas and full-time next year.
It had been a shaky start, but by the end of the fortnight the radio station was working smoothly and had won the hearts of its listeners. To end quietly was unthinkable. It had to go out with a bang. This is the end of our film, but not the end of the story. Radio Bognor will return.
Huntington